Delishees. Grab a plate and taste the delicious culture. I'm Jon Francois.
And I'm a bottle of poppers.
A bottle of poppers? Well, first of all, because I don't know anything, explain what poppers are and why are you a bottle of poppers?
Poppers are not a recommendation I'm giving to our listeners. I'm just saying they're fun if you want to keep the night going.
Oh. Are we experiencing you on a poppers high right now, or is this a past experience?
No, John, you don't just hit poppers and hop on a video camera. That's the mistake a lot of these girls make, okay? You wait and you do it at the right time.
Our special guest is just holding his hand over his mouth like, what the hell did I just get myself into? We're talking poppers bottling? What? What is this for a Wednesday night? Yeah, this is a good time.
It's a good time. And I mean, what we're talking about today kind of influenced my name. I'm a bottle of poppers, okay?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You'll have to explain it as we go in because I think I know what you're talking about, but maybe I need a refresher. Okay. But before we get into all of that, on our menu this week, we got to talk about the HBO Max 2-part docuseries Pee-wee as Himself about the actor Paul Reubens and the iconic character he created, Pee-wee Herman. And the one who suggested this to us as a topic of conversation is our special guest, Manny Manwich Oramas. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, especially the Manwich part. Yes.
Now explain the Manwich nickname because I want to know what goes into that.
Well, it's actually on accident. I'm a part of the Splat Attack podcast. And so we're a 90s Nickelodeon podcast. And so we just did an episode reviewing Mark Summers' Mystery Magical Tour. And so there was a scene there where I turn into a skeleton. And then all of a sudden, it's like Kat, one of our writers and good friends, a part of the podcast as well, suggested like, oh, we need to put some meat on them bones. Manny meat? No, Manwich. And I just died laughing. So that's where the Manwich name came from.
I like it. Manwich. It sounds so delicious. Like
yes.
Culture. It just kind of fits in together.
I am not. I'm delicious. Are you kidding me?
Everybody is delicious if they come with a good heart and confidence that they taste like the finest meat in the land. That's what I say.
Honey mustard.
Yeah. You just implied that your hand tastes like honey mustard, and I am all for it. My hand is more like day-old ketchup, but I know. AJ, make all the faces you want.
It's a great condiment, am I right?
It is. It lingers for a reason.
It means you're special. Yes, it does.
Yes, it lingers and it sings like a song. I love it. All right. So yes, as you mentioned, the 90s Nickelodeon themed podcast Splat Attack. Listeners of this podcast feed, if you want to go back to when we were at the Delicious Recap, please listen to our conversation with the Splat Attack podcast. Manny, I know you weren't there, but we had some other people who are a part of that podcast.
Absolutely.
We had a wonderful conversation with myself and AJ. And you also host a podcast with your wife called Bedtime Banter.
Yeah, it's actually weird questions you think about before you go to sleep. So pretty much the whole gimmick of this whole idea is like my wife Heather wakes me up and asks me these really weird questions, and we record ourselves talking about it. So that's called Bedtime Banter. There's about 12 episodes right now on Spotify, but we're going to plan on doing a few more, but life has kind of been a little crazy over time. So
understandably.
But that's where you can find that.
I'm curious, what's an example of a question that you would ask before you go to bed?
Definitely. Why do they call it Slim Jim? Like, why? Like, why not Slim Joe or something else? Why does it have to be Slim Jim? Or it's like, who was the first person that decided, mushrooms, I should eat these? Or eggs, they come out of a chicken's bottom. It's not a butt nugget. You can eat these things. So it's a lot like that, conversations like this.
Yeah, these are before bedtime questions. These are shower thought questions. Yeah, I love it. Questions about the world that really keep you puzzled. So,
I mean, it's not world changing, but it's interesting conundrums that you would think about in times that are inappropriate, probably. So who knows? Maybe when they're doing poppers. So who knows?
On the first hit, it's just going to be like, I wonder who thought to eat eggs. That's going to be my first thought.
That's the thing. That's where these questions come from.
Literally. I mean, they have so much cholesterol and they come out of a chicken's butt. Why are we putting them in our mouth?
Yeah, who was the first guy to do that? The same thing with milk. Who was the sicko that milked a cow and was like, I could drink this?
Yeah, right?
Ooh, who did this?
Oh my God, this white liquid coming out of these cow titties? Let me put that in my esophagus.
Yeah. You could go the Tom Green route and just do that. Like, why? Why would you do this? You're a sick
this
man.
episode is already unhinged and we haven't even gotten into it. I love it. Oh my God.
That's the best part. Off the rails is the best.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's appropriate for our topic because, Paul Rubens and the Pee Wee Herman character. I mean, you can't think of anything. Yeah, right. You already have the impression. Give us more. What?
Well, sometimes you got to be a little macho and a little not macho. But then when you look at that other guy, he's not very macho. But when you're both macho, then you don't really care about it.
I love that. And this actually leads into my opening question about like the relationship that you guys have with Paul and Pee Wee Herman prior to watching this documentary. So Manny, starting with you, I mean, it already sounds like you have loved everything about him.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the earliest memory I have is watching his show, Pee Wee's Playhouse. And I just turned 39. So that is about the age of Pee Wee's Playhouse, the TV show. So once it went off the air, it's pretty much like I found it in Blockbuster Video and I just kept on renting it. My parents thought I had a problem, but I loved Pee Wee's Playhouse. It's just so creative, colorful, and it's almost like a MTV version of Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Because he's talking directly to you and it's like so energetic and colorful and artistic. And it's always stuck with me. I mean, even to moving back to Nickelodeon, it goes into this other show called Wienerville. And it's kind of like a variety show, too, in that same colorful, funky, shagadelic way. And that's always resonated with me. And it's even opened me up to do artwork myself. And it's sort of why I love the culture of the free spirit, I guess. I guess the hippie culture. I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. AJ, what about you?
So my connection with Paul Rubens is this documentary.
Really?
I never watched Pee Wee's Playhouse. I never watched any of his movies. But watching this documentary, I felt like I was sitting down with like a good gay auntie at a bar. And we are just kiki about all these stories.
He is so awesome in those interviews when he's screwing with the director. I love his sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, he just is constantly fucking around. And we'll definitely have to get into more of that. But somewhat similar to you, AJ, and maybe this could be a generational / when you were born kind of thing. I know that Paul / Pee Wee's career pretty much peaked in the 80s. So being born in 91, oddly enough, the same year that Paul was arrested for that adult film incident. I think, I was born and I was coming up when Paul was in the other phase of his career, like post that Pee Wee hype and now finding an acting identity like as himself, playing all these characters from like the Buffy movie and that movie Blow with Johnny Depp. Like I was like growing up as Paul was becoming that character, and then eventually in the 2010s when he brings Pee Wee back after 30 years of not doing it, I got to witness that. So unfortunately I didn't get to see Paul and Pee Wee and grow up with him in the way that most people did back in the 80s, but I've always been aware of him and I've always been fascinated by his status in pop culture. So anything like this, where you have this docuseries that dives into the man and the character, I was like head fast into it. It's weird, like not having any personal childhood connection or whatever with him. There was just something about him and what he represents in the culture that made me want to dive into this docuseries twice. And it's a really good watch. I mean, if you have, 3+ hours of your time to like really get into the psychology of this man, I mean, it's really, 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 a really interesting watch. So I think it's worth getting into if you guys don't mind.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've watched it probably 4 times or something,
Damn.
more than that, but I just love it. It's such an interesting story. And for me, I loved late night talk shows, and Paul Rubens during that time when he was acting as not Pee-wee, he went
Yeah.
on different talk shows, and he's always been kind of that attitude of not giving you a lot. He's always joking, and you don't know if he's really serious or not. But
Mhm.
in this documentary, he is actually opening up about his background and his childhood. And I know the director, Matt Wolf, had such a hard time getting him to say these things. And it's just amazing that he edited this in such a way that made him seem like he's telling the story willingly. And it's amazing stuff I never even knew either. So great.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get like Paul is certainly a control freak. We get that, and he definitely uses humor not only as just a natural part of his talents, but also as like a defense mechanism. You know, he's kind of like wondering where this documentary is going and if it's going to get too private about things that he may not want to share with the public. So, yeah, I mean, just starting off with you know, I just remember like the first moments of this documentary, Paul like leading with this, you know, comedic performance, you know, just talking about like, oh, I was born in 1938 and my father worked on a steamboat. And yeah, I mean, he just like, I love it. Like
Just fucking with you.
he is. He's just mocking the whole deep dive background of the documentary format. And then I like how you see him let his guard down just a
Just a
little
little
bit.
bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, by admitting that like he's used to being in control and that the documentary format kind of doesn't allow that. I mean, it's the whole identity of being in a documentary is that someone else is investigating you and reporting your story back to you based on information that you've told them. So, yeah, I like how we get that sort of mixture of like, oh, okay, here's the humor that makes Paul Paul, but also here is the real Paul that might be scared of what he's about to get into. AJ?
Trying to like put it into words of how it made me feel watching it because I feel like when I get my documentary, this is going to be me. I'm going to do the exact same thing just to fuck with people on camera.
You're not going to be honest with them, AJ?
I'm probably going to be honest half the time and then just fuck with people the rest of the time.
Hi, my name is AJ. I took poppers and I like cow titties. And what do you want to know?
I like to eat eggs.
I like
I
to
like
eat
to eat
eggs, lots of
eggs.
them. God, how did you guys feel? Like, because like right from the get go, I mean, it you get that black slide that lets you know that Paul died on this date in 2023.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to the filmmakers, he had this private battle with cancer. He filmed 40 hours of documentary before he passed. Um, what did that do going into the documentary? Did that sort of like shift the mood for you guys, or were you still just kind of like in that same track of mind as you were from the beginning of it?
It
AJ.
definitely shifted my mood. When I first like saw the black site pop up, I was like, "Oh, I'm like, damn, that really didn't feel good to read." But there's a moment that's minutes after that where he gets a little emotional talking about what you leave behind when you leave the earth,
Yeah.
and it brought me back to that slide, and I'm like, "Okay, I actually feel a little bit better. I don't feel like I'm just gonna watch somebody deteriorate over the next 3 hours."
Yeah. Yeah. Manny?
I mean, for me, it was such a culture shock when he passed away because this is actually just an interesting little side tangent here. But Paul Rubens did a Pee Wee's Big Adventure tour to celebrate, I think it was the 30 something anniversary back in
Yeah.
2020. And me and my wife were lucky enough to go to the show in Atlanta. That's where I was living at the time. And that was probably one of the last shows because COVID struck within the next couple weeks and Paul canceled the rest of the tour.
Yeah.
So that was probably his last time, and it was probably because he was sick. So in 2023, I got a flood of text messages and messages saying, "My God, Paul Rubens died. Paul Rubens passed away." I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I was really shook up for at least a little while because it's like, yeah, it's one of your childhood icons. I know we've lost so many people in the last few years, but yeah, Paul Rubens to me, it felt like it was such a loss. And I was hoping something like this would get made eventually, but when I saw the trailers for this a year ago, I was like, this is great. Why can't I see this movie? And I have to wait till May. It's like, dang it, because they showed it in the film festivals back in January. So I was like, damn it, man, I want to see this movie. So as soon as that little slide came up, it was really eye-opening to know that Paul was not open about his sickness and he didn't tell anybody about this sickness at all. So I'm guessing it's because maybe Paul wanted the organic approach instead of maybe being like, we know you're going to pass away in a little while, but here it's be comfortable, be whatever. I think he wanted to be treated normally and he didn't want any special treatment because he was passing away. So
Yeah.
I was really happy to see this done the way it was.
Yeah, and I preface this question by saying it's Paul's life, Paul's prerogative. Obviously, he has the right to not share that health diagnosis. For both of you, was there any part of you that maybe wish that he did when he found out, so that I don't know, lots of fans and colleagues could have had the chance to say like what he's meant to them, or do you
I
think? Yeah, go ahead.
honestly think that I don't know Paul personally. I never did. I wish I kind of did in a way, but I really think he didn't want that because
Yeah.
he would probably feel like it would be geez, what's the word?
Like a pity party, sort of
Yeah,
like charity case? Yeah.
sort of like that. And I think maybe he didn't want that at all because he's like, no one should cry for me. I wanted to give you guys happiness, and this is what I want to give you. So that very last recording, that was really hard to listen to.
Yeah.
And it is the most vulnerable I've ever heard him. And it was really emotional. It really was. But that's him being 100% honest and not joking around. So that's how he truly felt. He just wanted to give love and entertainment to the world, regardless of what other people thought. So,
Mhm.
and he's great. And I've seen other documentaries about him too, the True Hollywood Story. And it really amazed me how Paul pretty much in 91 lost his career because it was just Pee Wee. Everything was Pee Wee, and then everything just went crashing down.
Yeah.
But he was able to rebuild his career a piece at a time. And that takes amazing talent. He pretty much had to reinvent who Paul Rubens was. And doing little bits in movies and sitcoms. It's amazing. He truly made a second and third comeback if you consider the Broadway 2010 show. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I definitely am happy that I didn't know this before watching the documentary, that he had never told anybody. Because I'm like you, I don't feel like, even for myself, I would tell anybody. I'm like,
Really?
this is just something I would want to just leave as my only thing. And y'all will find out maybe a year after I'm in the ground, because I don't want people to grieve. I want y'all to enjoy this art that I leave behind.
Yeah.
That's
I
commendable too.
I totally
Like that.
understand that.
Yeah.
Right away, like when they were showing all these like abstract colors that sort of illustrates the creative eccentricity, if that's even a good word to use, of
Yeah.
Paul's brain. And then you see like all this fantastic B-roll of shows that influenced Paul as he was growing up as a baby boomer, like I Love Lucy, Howdy Doody, The Little Rascals, Captain Kangaroo. Any thoughts as you guys were seeing like all these influences flash by?
AJ?
I thought of my night staying up watching Nick at Night. Because
Yeah.
every little like thing that popped up, I'm like, oh my God, this is taking me back.
Right? Right?
Yeah. And maybe this is somewhat relatable because we see Eddie Murphy pop up at the premiere of Pee-wee's
Big Adventure. Yeah.
Big Adventure.
Yeah.
Um God.
He
Fucking
was
Eddie.
even working with Eddie to do a movie too.
Oh, was he?
But it never got produced. But yeah.
Oh, that would have been interesting
It would have been very interesting.
because I think those like Eddie Murphy, Bill Cosby, Paul Rubens. I mean, you're talking about like comedy icons of the 80s, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking it didn't happen because it was right when Pee Wee was getting the star. That's when it was announced like he's working with Eddie Murphy on a new movie. So they were
Mhm.
working on a screenplay. But I'm assuming because Big Top Pee Wee didn't do so well, that's probably why some future projects got canceled. I'm assuming.
Yeah. But when I saw that I Love Lucy B-roll that was showing when Paul was talking about shows that influenced his childhood,
Yeah.
I cannot look at Lucille Ball the same way again after Eddie Murphy said in his stand-up routine that he had like sexual fantasies about her when he like was watching the reruns as a kid. I was like, now I just look at Lucille Ball. And yeah, he's doing the Eddie Murphy laughing as he's getting a boner to Lucille.
No, he's doing poppers, of course. Why wouldn't he?
Anywho, that's just a side note that I had. But Yeah, there's of course, the fucking around that Paul is doing with the interviewer, maybe it's Matt Wolf that's interviewing him while Paul is just, directly to camera.
I'm assuming
But
so.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember Paul was, talking about how his mother would sarcastically be like, Paul, everyone must be wrong but you. And then we kind of go back to Paul being like, yeah, maybe she was right. Maybe I'm never wrong. No, I'm kidding. I'd never think that. Or maybe I'm not. Like he just does that back and
See,
forth thing.
that's
You
his
never
thing.
know. It's like, okay, are you serious? Do you really think you're right? Do you not like it's that sort of like fun but also slightly emotionally manipulative way. It's like he likes playing games like
That's
that.
what it is. And part of me was like, I don't know if I want to meet him because
Yeah.
I would ask him real questions and then he would just not answer. He would give me non-answers. Like everybody when I was growing up was saying, "Did you know that Rob Zombie was an intern on Pee-wee's Playhouse?" And so it finally got to Paul, and Paul referenced it on Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and he's like, "People always tell me this. I don't know. Was he? I don't really know if he was." So it's
Yeah.
like he doesn't even know himself, and he's bullshitting, of course.
Right.
So still,
What about you, AJ? Would you want to meet Paul Rubens?
Yes, 100%. I am down for it. That is my energy. I love how he just fucks with people. You're just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to believe because this man is super interesting. Like
yeah,
it feels like every old Hollywood woman that I have wanted to talk to my entire life with a
really,
bottle of champagne.
I love it.
I love that. I love that. What do we guys think about Paul's dad? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm getting conflicting versions of the man. I'm getting a man who was, this macho, swaggery guy of his time, whereas Paul describes himself as sensitive and romantic. A man who may have seemed slightly homophobic, but then eventually supports his son's homosexuality. I see that B-roll of his dad on the beach when Paul's a kid. He's got his tight swim shorts. He's smoking the pipe. He's fishing on the beach. He looks like a dad from 1950 whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think about the role that he plays in Paul's life? Because uh, clearly, especially when the dad is in his final days, it seems like there's unfinished business. We seem to quite not know if there is really ever a genuine relationship between father and son.
AJ?
When Paul says that his dad wrote him a letter and said that I want you to be the best homosexual in the world. And Paul's response was, so I went out that night.
I laughed too. Yep. I'm thinking about that moment.
And then he completely
Yeah.
says, like, I'm lying, I'm not gay. It's like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's that moment that let me know I would probably understand and love his dad the same way my dad is. Because my dad's the same with this overly macho. But then when it comes to his son, I accept you no matter what. And that was like something I was like, yeah, they needed that moment. And I think it was the right thing for him. But then also, as it got later in his years, I did sense that there was something unfinished between the two of them. But in what relationship is there not something unfinished?
there's always something unfinished in family like that. It's just, but I feel like he was amazingly supportive of his son. And that's truly at that time, it must have been a rare thing. So, because I mean, there was so much homophobia going on at that time, I'm sure.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I'm happy that his dad accepted him for who he is. And that's truly what makes a man right there. So good for him.
Yeah. So, what was the town in New York that he was originally from? It was called like Oneota.
Oneonta.
Oh, okay.
Oneonta. Upstate New York.
It's like
AJ?
2 hours away from me.
Okay. So the family decides to move to Sarasota, Florida. Was it? And maybe I wasn't paying attention to this part. Was it because Paul expressed performing aspirations and he convinced his family to move there? Like, what was the whole? Because I know there was that's where the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Burley Circus is a circus town. Yeah.
I think it's because his dad didn't want to be where it was cold anymore, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Oneonta is a tundra in the winter. You do not want to be there.
No, I hate the winter anyway. So yeah, absolutely not.
And like leaving there for Sarasota, I would go. I don't even like the heat, but I would go because it's terrible there.
Any thoughts on the Sarasota, Florida circus aesthetic that Paul was a part of and getting into? Because, yeah, I mean, he started performing in that, getting his experience that way. So, any thoughts on that?
Now, me just getting into this and after hearing the circus influence, I like binge watched Pee Wee's Playhouse a couple of times after we first talked
Did
about
you?
this. I did because
Wow.
I was like, I've got to know. And I can see where the influence in design, color, and just that atmosphere of chaos, but there's extreme control at the same time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can understand that coming from a circus.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I didn't even know there was a circus camp until he started talking about it too. And I'm sure like that made him feel so much at home because he did plays when he was a kid too. And
Yeah.
so that was sort of like performing as well. And he said once that if I didn't make it in show business, I would have been a part of the circus. So he just loved doing that and performing for people. And I guess he liked to be a show off too, but that's what makes a great entertainer.
Absolutely. And not only the circus, but within Sarasota, I think he joins this theater company. He takes himself seriously as an actor. He has this like school friend slash artistic partner slash first girlfriend in
Very weird movies too. It's like,
yeah. Oh my God. Like these sort of like 70s avant-garde Andy Warhol style movies. I
yeah.
mean, you see Paul, like he's like a stone-faced hippie with his bowl haircut and his glasses. What did you guys think about that era of him? Were you surprised given what you are have already known about him as Pee Wee Herman? Like, what thoughts about that era of Paul?
He was Jesus. I saw him as Jesus.
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, that black and white footage of him being Jesus Christ on stage and then looking at the camera. Hello.
Hello. It's crazy, man.
But was there anything about that era that that really piqued your interest or turned you off or made you think differently about him?
It made me want to watch him even more. Seeing those little clips and it just looks like such raw footage, but these incredibly creative, funny ideas. I would
Yeah.
just sit back and watch those for hours.
I would love to see it myself. I know Paul had all of those reels at his house because those have never been shown at all. So I'm pretty sure those are in full. Maybe they're part of a museum at some point, but I would love if somebody or some company gets these things out there. I would definitely buy a DVD of that for sure.
Right.
Mermaids too. I would love to see that one as well.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yes. And that was I think it was like 1973 and it
I
was
think
around the time when he was like putting on, drag queen outfits in his dorm room.
man, he
Things
was
like
gorgeous woman.
Yeah, he
Definitely.
did drag well.
Yeah, I did. And I was very surprised because I had no idea that he was a drag queen. I had no idea. But I love that atmosphere. I kind of wish that I would have grew up at that era because I love art and I like to be artistic and paint and stuff. I would so get along with this group of ragtag artists. I would just love to just hang out and just pretty much chat with them just to be a fly on the wall in those conversations. I would love to be a part of that for sure.
yeah, this is like peak 70s like artistic
Yeah.
openness to it. I mean, you tell me that you want to dress up it as a mermaid and you have a Cher influence in your mermaid dress up for this
Yeah.
film. I'm all with it. I mean, you tell me that there's a kissing booth and I get to kiss all 600 students and
Dude, are
that's
you
how I get to know
kidding?
people. All for it.
Absolutely. I would be all for it too. I'm a weirdo, but yes, I would.
Yeah, right.
Oh, we're all kind of weird, I think, anyway. So, why not?
Weird is fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
weird is
Just go
fun.
and do some art shit and just do weird shit and you'll
Why
have fun.
not? Just do it.
Yeah. But did you remember that part when Paul was saying that like the hippie look that he was putting on in the photos, like that wasn't his actual look, that his actual look was the nebbish nerdy kid and the hippie look represented what he wanted to be. So I don't know if you guys got a sense of like someone who maybe wasn't comfortable in their own skin and was trying to inhabit someone else to become someone they're more comfortable with, or was it just simple fun and play, like he's a performer and he just wants to take on all these characters?
Thinking about some of the things he talked about, I would feel maybe he was somebody who wasn't comfortable in his skin in the beginning.
Right.
And then he learned that his skin was transformative and he could take on these different personalities.
Yeah.
Because after he said that wasn't his look, I'm like, I don't believe that. This looks so naturally you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And were you guys surprised that he was in Sarasota, Florida, performing, and then he moved to California to go to Cal Arts with a number of his Sarasotians.
Yeah.
And I would never expect that his classmates at Cal Arts, just to name a few names, David Hasselhoff of Baywatch fame, who looks unrecognizable. He has that curly 70s fro and that mustache.
Katie Seagal, too.
Yeah, Katie Seagal, who, okay, everybody knows her as Peg Bundy from Married with Children. But again, me kind of being a little too young for that. I
Layla.
remember her as the computerized maid Pat from the Disney Channel original movie Smart House. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's Pat. Yeah,
I was thinking Futurama, but yeah, there's that one too.
Yes, yeah, she played. Who did she play in Futurama?
That was Layla, wasn't it?
Layla.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Wow. But any thoughts on David and Katie being his classmates and maybe I guess the different paths that they took compared to Paul? Or
Dude, it's a powerhouse, man. I just feel like in that era, you're not gonna get these type of people, and this goes a little off the rails here because we just watched the John Candy documentary, and it seems like that era was like famous people all in one place, and they're just all just having fun. They don't really care about making a paycheck or anything. They're just doing this because they love to do it. And that era that Paul was in introduced these type of actors into a field of performing. And that's how they got to do different type of shows, and they got famous in their own right. It's like, I don't think anything like that can happen now because everyone pretty much has a camera. So it's like you don't get that camaraderie with a group of people, at least in my opinion. I don't think.
I agree with it because, like, whenever I hear their stories and the fact that it's the three of them together, I'm like, oh, wow, this explains so much of what I've seen from them. But, like, when I hear those stories, they're like, oh, I went to school with such and such. We would go to this restaurant and this famous person worked there. And now it's like that is an impossibility to happen.
It is.
Yeah. So if I can, I'm going to ask you to say buttery and chocolatey as Pee Wee Herman to lead into my next question.
Okay. Buttery. Chocolatey.
So fantastic. And the reason why I had you do that
Yes.
is because the last thing I would have expected was like those phrases, a part of Pee Wee Herman lore, being influenced by the rich person impersonation that Paul's lover Guy did. This black painter that he met when I believe he was in Los Angeles.
Yeah, they were just traveling. Didn't even expect to meet anybody.
Yeah.
He was like,
God.
that's the guy.
I know exactly why, because Guy was fine.
Yeah. He seemed like a very beautiful, sensitive soul.
Quiet too, probably. I think.
Again, someone I would last expect to have a Pee Wee Herman influence out of, but
Yeah, he seems
it
so
just goes
laid
to
back.
show. Right? Yeah, exactly. It just goes to show how close Paul was with him. And yeah, what are your thoughts about Paul just sort of taking influence of this popular character from this relationship that he had with this guy, which obviously meant a lot to him.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I think that's why Pee Wee was such a lovable character for people, because it came from a genuine, very strong emotion.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. I mean, I think maybe before he did He Was Big Adventure, I think that was before he saw Guy before he passed away. And I think maybe in his heart, that's probably why he wanted Pee Wee to be as big as it was, probably as a love letter to Guy, because he meant so much to him. And I think he said he didn't want him to see his emotion either. Like, he didn't want to see Paul cry or anything like that. So
right.
even then, he didn't want to show his vulnerable side. So I guess Paul really struggled with that as well.
I was thinking, watching their relationship portrayed in the documentary, how heartbreaking it was to hear that, or not hear, but literally see that there was clearly a degree of happiness and contentment with Paul being in this domestic relationship with Guy. But at the same time, he talks about feeling lost as an individual, as an artist. And then his father telling him, well, you got to choose. Like, you either have to play house or you can have a career. You cannot have both, which personally, I don't think that's true. I think, especially in this day and age, we can have both at the same time.
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, Paul also had this added layer of what it would have been like to be publicly gay at the time. So I'm sure there was a degree of that went into his decision to just completely take Guy out of his life and just be one track focused on his career. So any further thoughts on the trajectory of their relationship and Paul's decision to just be like, all right, I'm not going to have an open relationship and I'm just going to completely cut myself off emotionally and just, focus on my career?
It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
Not a surprise to me at all, especially just the time that they were in. I wouldn't expect him to have flourished as much as he did if he was openly gay. Even now, much of that hasn't changed in certain careers. So back then, I can only imagine it just was probably even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel for him too because it's both of those things that Paul probably never felt in his real life either, because he's never been openly romantic with anyone. I feel that I've known or the public has known, but it's just with this, it felt like it was so real. But at the same time, he wanted to be a performer. He wanted to be a big star,
Right.
so he just chose his father's advice, and he's like, I'm gonna just do this career without looking back. And I'm sure that was a difficult decision for him. So I don't know. I guess he was conflicted by two things, but I'm sure he wanted to flourish as a performer because that's really was what his first love was. And I'm thinking maybe he wanted to jump because of that reason.
Right, right. It definitely was a difficult decision because I remember when Paul was talking about the unfortunate AIDS crisis that was happening in the gay community in the 80s.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned that Guy was sick, alluding to the fact that he may have had AIDS, but we didn't have a confirmation of it. And I did see some tears well up in Paul's eyes as he was, talking about Guy and what the AIDS community or what AIDS was in the gay community. And I don't know, as I was seeing Paul being emotionally affected by telling this story, I got a sense of this guy who was he was basically saying, okay, like, this is who I am, but this is the part of me that I chose to just distance myself from to further ambitions going forwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw this conflict as he was welling up in his eyes, and it seemed to be one of like regret and sadness and reflection.
If he still thinks about it, yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like he thinks about it probably all the time. It probably is something that he instantly, you said it perfectly, regretted. I think that there was always a part of him that did.
Yeah, yeah. So Paul he initially wants to be a serious dramatic actor, but then he sees this stand-up comedy boom that's happening in like the mid to late 70s. He's going on the Gong Show and making what was it going on? He had this quirky sound effects duo thing going
It
on.
was the hilarious Betty and Eddie. So he did that with a classmate of his.
Yeah. And
Um,
that, I mean, look, Paul got on television, he got paid, so that checked off a box. And, he was noticing the likes of Andy Kaufman and Robin Williams perform stand up at the Improv and the Comedy Store, these iconic comedy clubs of the time.
Yeah.
And then we get into him joining the iconic Groundlings improv troupe in Los Angeles, which, I mean, that's basically a breeding ground for a lot of our iconic SNL stars of yesterday and today.
Yeah.
Thoughts as you were seeing Paul go, transition into this troupe that created Pee Wee Herman. You know what I mean? Like that he created Pee Wee there. He met a very wonderful collaborator in Phil Hartman. That tragically their relationship didn't pan out so well in the end. But
Yeah.
yeah, what were your thoughts? Seeing Paul at the Groundlings and how he flourished.
I have to say, it was like watching, it was like watching an anime character develop
Oh,
their arc. He
okay.
literally was just
Right.
growing and growing and growing, and you could just see the excitement when he was talking about some of it. So I just felt like I was like getting a very good sneak peek at what I want something to happen.
Got the
Manny?
stars in his eyes. I think Yeah, it's much like I said earlier about finding this group of people that became big. They just all loved one thing, and it's just like the Groundling. It's just like the art college as well. It's like you find these people that just love performing, and they're famous in their own right. Later on, they're much bigger stars later on, but you first have to start somewhere. But it's like it's just this ragtag group that just wanted to just make people laugh and perform. And I don't know, I just feel like it was a bigger it just felt like it meant something more back in the day. Because I think, um, probably Steve Martin was also a member there as well because, or maybe he performed there as well too, because him and Paul did some things together too.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Steve Martin had heard of the work that Paul was doing with Pee Wee and such at the Groundlings, and he recommended him for like some TV specials that Steve was
Okay.
doing. Maybe he appeared in a movie with Steve Martin, but yeah, Steve Martin was definitely an early Paul Rubens champion. I really loved like the background of the Groundlings that we got because maybe not a lot of people know about how the Groundlings improv troupe started, but I know Lorraine Newman, who was an original SNL cast member back in the 70s, she was a founding member of the Groundlings, and just the idea that it started at this as this like little improv workshop, and you know a bunch of these performers, they would just do something spontaneous, they would make each other laugh, and then they'd be like, oh wait a minute, like that's good, let's do that again, and then they like build that improvisational sketch format based off of that. And then they have shows where they have friends come in, and then it just becomes bigger and bigger throughout LA, and now it becomes this iconic Groundlings things that we know today. Yeah, I love that sort of like grassroots, gradually growing thing
Yeah.
that also becomes a springboard for what Paul Rubens is today. I mean, and what did you guys think about? Oh my God, he what he auditioned for Groundlings classes, because you have to audition just to get into classes at the Groundlings.
Sure.
And whereas someone had mentioned that usually people, they come in like loud with their Groundlings auditions with lots of dialogue, lots of comedic, like in your face stuff.
Yeah.
And what she was
Kinda like
struck by
TikTok.
right. Yeah, and what she was struck by with Paul's audition was that he didn't say anything. He was simply a waiter having all these varying reactions to the customers that he was serving. And she said that this was the first audition that went successful based on him just being quieter, not louder. What did you guys think of that audition? Because I thought it was brilliant, because I've been told over and over again as a former actor and a present actor, that doesn't make sense. A former actor and a present actor? I'm sorry, I'm on
Well,
drugs.
you were an actor in a past life, and you're still an actor in the present. So there you
Yeah,
go. You're
yeah.
good. Yeah.
There you go. I'm sorry. Yeah, my poppers have been infiltrated. As someone who has been involved in acting, I've been told, and also has done improv, I've been told that acting is reacting, and a big part of improv is listening to your scene partner, yes anding whatever they're giving you. And I felt like Paul was just kind of borrowing off of that and using that to his advantage. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts about like, you know, how Paul got himself into the Groundlings by this very standout audition, by being, like this interviewee said, calculating and controlling, because clearly he was intending to do something with this, you know.
I don't like the word calculating, not in a bad way, but it just sounds like he's the Terminator of comedy. And like he's just gonna run in here and eliminate everybody.
I'll be back. I love that. I love that. Speaking of which, did you like how Arnold Schwarzenegger was with Pee Wee Herman on that CNN talk show back in the day, and he was just like, "What the? Who am I sitting next to?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway,
I
so yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Expand
oh,
on your thoughts, AJ.
well, no, AJ, yeah, yeah.
Think that like he was a look queen. And when I say that, like there's people whose faces are just so reactive that you don't care what's coming out of their mouth sometimes. And he had that face. So I get how he destroyed that audition and got exactly where he needed to be from it.
I agree too. And way back when the Pee-wee's Playhouse Blu-rays came out, they had interviews with the cast. And so John Paragon, who played Zombie, and who's also an old partner of Paul's during the Groundlings and later Pee-wee's Playhouse and everything,
Yeah.
he said what amazed him the most is that Paul, as Pee-wee, sometimes didn't have material, but his reactions were the best part because it would just be like,
Right.
and that's what would get the laugh. Like, generally, sometimes what he said would be like the setup or not a punchline, but the
Mhm.
reaction would be the thing that he loves. And I think when Paul was discussing their partnership, John was the super loud, bombastic guy, and Paul
Yeah.
was the really quiet one. So they made a really great duo, Kenan and Kel, if you will,
Yeah.
probably. So
And speaking of which, I can't remember the actress's name who's known for playing the character Elvira.
yes. Oh,
Yeah,
geez. Cassandra. Oh, yeah. Cassandra Peterson.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Elvira, and I think her like subtitle is like Mistress of the Dark or something like that. She's like a
Yeah.
well-known like character this time of year for Halloween. But yeah, I just loved how she was like, oh my God, like, the dynamic of like, sort of the quiet, more serious Paul and the more outgoing Jerry Lewis comical type of John Paragon. Like she wanted to be their friend so badly. And then you had them become this friendship threesome throughout the
Very
groundling. So,
cool.
yeah.
Man, very cool.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about like Phil Hartman and how he got into the Groundlings because much like Paul and his interesting background, Phil Hartman came in as like this rock album graphic designer, very serious. He was kind of doubtful about his stage abilities, not sure where he fit, and then eventually he got the courage to go up there, and now he's considered one of the most iconic SNL cast members of all time with a phenomenal stage presence. So, anything about that surprised you? Any Phil Hartman background or fanship that you have going into this?
Phil Hartman, I feel like that could be its own topic right there because he had his fingerprints in everything. But I guess to shorten it a little bit, I had no idea he was a graphics designer before he even went into this. So I'm amazed that the most funny people are not the funniest to themselves because he had a lot of doubt apparently, but it's
Yeah.
like every time I've seen him, he knocks it out of the park, man. He is so good.
Yeah, I mean SNL. He voiced some characters in The Simpsons. I know he was in News Radio.
Yeah.
AJ, did you know how he died?
No, I didn't know
Oh,
how he
you
died.
don't?
Oh,
No.
God.
Oh,
So he was with this model who was
model.
mentally unhealthy,
Wait.
so to speak. Um, yeah, they just had the most toxic relationship. She was jealous of his fame and how much he was working. They just couldn't make it work. And then I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Manny, one day she wakes up. I think she's intoxicated or influenced by something, and she takes a gun and she shoots him in his sleep.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. It's one of those like tragic deaths where it's like it to me
And she calls the police and says, "Oh my God, my husband's dead."
yeah, yeah. And then she shoots herself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
kids in the house.
Yeah. It's it's so tragic.
This woman, I'm just going to be nice. This woman is on the Saturday Night Live openings with Phil. She is the blonde that is sitting in front of him as they announce, and Phil Hartman. And I know this because I read or I heard the book on tape of Saturday Night Live. Apparently, she had issues and she wanted to be, she wanted to turn her face, to smile at the camera, but she was so pissed because she had
Yeah.
to keep her back to the camera. So if
Yeah.
you ever
Yeah.
see that opening, that's her. And Phil was like, I got you in the opening. Yeah, but they don't see my face. So it's
Oh
like,
my
come
God.
on.
And
She had issues. She had issues.
and I know that Phil was interviewed on Howard Stern's show back in the day, and there was an interview that Phil and his wife did with Howard Stern. And I'm just watching that interview and I'm like, oh my God, that's the woman who killed him.
Yeah,
Sitting right next to him. It's
she-
so bizarre. It's so
it is.
bizarre.
It's very strange because she seems like normal acting.
Yeah.
There doesn't appear any malice there, but it's just whatever goes on in the mind is wacko with some people. So.
Yeah, no, I can go on about like these like tragic celebrity deaths.
Yeah, it's a wormhole, man. It really is.
It really is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, just quick two others that I can think of is that actor that played Superman in the 1950s show, George Reeves. They just found him like naked and dead in his bedroom. Some say it's a
Oh,
suicide.
I heard this.
Yeah. It's debated if it's a suicide or not. I don't know, but he was just found naked in his bedroom and what looked like a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So that's all up in the air. And then there was like this like little girl child actor who appeared on like an episode or two of Cheers, and she had like a really abusive father who ended up killing her and the mother. And it's just like you hear about these tragedies, and it's just like
The All Dogs Go to Heaven girl.
What
That
happened?
is tragic. The girl that voiced the little girl in All Dogs Go to Heaven. Yeah, like at the age of, I guess, 6 or 7. It's just unbelievable. It's the dad was just abusive. He was a bad father.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. God.
So sorry, that dampened the mood. Let's stop there before we go on to John Benet Ramsey. Sorry. God.
I love how John Benet Ramsey gets a big laugh. It's like, ah!
Well, she might be the most iconic child who died. All right.
Parents did it.
Anywho, back to hopefully more pleasantries. Where are we at? Oh my God, this is so crazy. So the creation of Pee-wee at the Groundlings. So I believe it was this extended improv scene night where the assignment was to create a character that you see at a comedy club, and Paul thus came up with this childlike aspiring comedian whom the audience would think, nah, he's not gonna make it. And then, he has the tight fitted suit and bow tie and the 50s little boy gelled hairstyle, and that what is that specific makeup that Paul used as Pee-wee? It just has like the pale with the blushes of red. You know what I mean?
Kind of China doll-ish, probably.
Yeah.
If you look at the Pee-wee doll, it's kind of like that in a way.
Might I say it is John Benet Ramsey-esque. I hate to bring it back to John Benet.
All signs are going to point to Jon Benet Ramsey. If you look at the board over here, the yarn is connecting to this, and right there. Oh, Pee-wee. Oh, okay, that ties it back up to this.
R.I.P. What could have been? Bless, King. Bless. All right. Anyway. All right. Sorry. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the creation of Pee-wee.
Yeah. I mean, like, Paul had a harmonica named Pee-wee. He apparently knew this eccentric kid from his childhood named Herman, Pee-wee Herman. Boom. That's how the name came about. But anyway, what were you guys thinking as you saw this creation of Pee-wee and how he was just like, excitingly throwing candy at the audience and then turning on them in a second? Like, it was crazy. It was bananas.
This lets me know people love to be abused.
Yeah.
When it comes to show business. They're like, if you put show in front of it, they will let you throw anything at them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I know Lawrence Fishburne wasn't really happy about that. It's like, I hope he throws a Tootsie Roll in my head. I'll knock his teeth out.
Well, I remember Lawrence Fishburne, and again, like one of just the most unlikely people associated with Pee-wee Herman. But before he became Cowboy Curtis on the Playhouse TV show, he had talked about seeing Paul at the Groundlings in the early 80s and just being like, I don't get what the fuck you're doing. And then like almost 10 years later, he's like, yeah, I'm Cowboy Curtis, So,
all right, here we go.
Yeah. Anything I got to do to star in The Matrix. Anything I got to do. Oh boy. But yeah, no, he creates the character, and then the audience responds really well to it, and then Paul decides to go into the direction of like hard focusing on this character rather than being known as like Paul Rubens, who does a million different other characters. What did you think about like, Paul deciding to be Pee-wee Herman on that episode of The Dating Game? You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have to watch that full episode. I need to find that.
Well, I haven't watched the episode of The Dating Game itself, but the part of the documentary that they showed of him being on The Dating Game.
There is like a little clip of it on YouTube, but the one on the documentary is a really nice quality one, but it's only in chunks. But I think it was insane because Paul was not fully the Pee-wee character yet. Ooh. He dressed that way to go stand in line and wait for the audition. So when he was auditioning with the producers, he was as Pee-wee, and he committed to the bit the whole time, but Paul was laughing to himself. He's like, look at everybody. They think that I'm insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he committed that the whole time.
I admire the artistic bravery because he did mention that, some people are going to like Pee-wee when I'm coming out with him in public. Some people are going to be annoyed and turned off by it. Like, he is what you want in an artist, which is someone that says, whether you see me positively or negatively, I just want you to feel something when you see me. So I mean, yes, you call him crazy, but I just, as someone who has also done artistic things, but has never been that brave, like I admire that. I admire the courage that it took to just take a risk
I
like
mean,
that.
and he won too. Like he
Yeah.
won, but he ended up not going on the date because they couldn't agree on a schedule. So,
Uh,
but that's pretty much what it was. But still, I can't believe it. It's amazing.
That really is. I maybe because I'm attracted to unstable people, but something about hit the mark.
It's great. You like to be excited, you know?
You
Yeah.
yeah.
never know what's coming.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. It's spontaneous. It's attractive. It's awesome. So.
Oh yeah, I'm with you, AJ. I have a past based around that. So, uh, luckily, my wife is not unstable. My wife is the perfect egg that can be eaten out of a chicken's butt.
How do they eat
I
eggs,
don't know.
man?
I don't know. I didn't. So, have you guys? Are you guys familiar with like Cheech and Chong movies? I didn't know that Pee Wee Herman was in the second movie. Like, what? This stoner movie franchise, and Pee Wee Herman made an appearance as some guy at his day job who also appears at a comedy club. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
what?
I mean, I think it was because it was explained on the documentary that I think Cheech and Chong were like going to the Groundlings and they were looking for like extras
Yeah.
possibly. So that's how Paul Rubens and Pee Wee were entered into that movie. Like he's made a couple more appearances. Like he plays the Pee Wee character in one of the movies, and in another movie he plays the hamburger guy where he's like, sorry, I took the money, hamburger. He plays like that type of guy. It's not Pee-wee, but it's another variation of that, and that's at least what I'm familiar with the Cheech and Chong movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where I didn't know Pee Wee had a place in my life because I love Cheech and Chong.
You
So I
do.
didn't know until I saw the documentary. I was like, oh shit, he was in those.
Yeah. I tell you, man. And so, we get into Paul auditioning for SNL because, for the last 50 years, SNL has been like the holy grail, like end stop for comedians who feel like they've made it.
Yeah.
So, like, I think the SNL talent scouts visit him at the Groundlings, and he auditions back in the early 80s. I think this was like after the original cast had left and they did that first big new cast overhaul.
Yeah, which is a
Look,
tough
I
time
mean,
for everybody.
I love me some Gilbert Gottfried. He's the iconic parrot voice in Aladdin. But when he got the job over Paul, because Gilbert and Paul had the same nerd type, and Gilbert just happened to know an SNL producer.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
Gilbert Gottfried
favoritism.
versus Paul Rubens. I think Paul was made for that show. I think he would have deserved it a lot more. I don't know if Gilbert had a lot of like tricks up his sleeve I mean, he didn't last that long on SNL. So I
That
was just
cast
like,
didn't last long at all.
yeah, almost that whole cast. Yeah. I think it was like Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo that were like the only
Those were
ones
like the
that
ones
like
that, yeah.
survived. Yeah. But yeah, thoughts on that? Like, did you guys have that same kind of reaction where it's like, really, Gilbert Gottfried got on SNL, not Paul Rubens?
Now watching this, I had that reaction. I'm like, so this man with this very loud, annoying voice beat out Paul Rubens. I don't understand it, but maybe it was a blessing.
Yeah, because the Pee-wee show was made out of pure spite of not getting on SNL. So
Yeah.
because I
It's true.
mean, but at the time he thought his career was over. Like Paul was like, "That's it. I'm going back to California, and my hopes and dreams are broken." But then he wanted to jump into doing the Pee-wee character again while there's still a little bit of heat on Paul. So that's what sort of made him turn into just Pee-wee Herman. So at
Yeah,
least that's what I got from it.
Paul had a certain degree of independence and resilience that I admire because, you don't get SNL as a comedian and you think, oh, that could be the end of it. Like, what can I do? But Paul had enough fortitude to be like, no, fuck it. You don't want me, establishment. I'm just going to go off and create my own thing. So yeah, he just zoned in more and more on seeing how far he can go with Pee Wee Herman. And then I believe his next step is to do Was it to do, oh yeah, to do the midnight show. Yeah. So he goes to the Groundlings people and says, hey, can I create a midnight show around Pee Wee Herman that would technically serve as a live television pilot for any, producers and agents around LA that might want to see. Oh my God, do you have the graphic design of
No,
that
this is
midnight show? Holy
this
shit,
is
how did you get that?
this is actually a
Manny?
part of a book. It's called The Art of Pee-wee's Playhouse,
Wow.
and it's by all the artists. And this is actually a new book. It came out a year ago. It's still available, and it comes with like all sorts of like background art and information on pretty much the merchandise that came out and the style of things when Pee-wee's Playhouse was really in its heyday. So it's a really neat book. I recommend it.
People get this, or is this like a sort of collector's limited edition luxury
I
experience?
think it actually is available. If you go to Comics and Arts on Dummy, I think you could check it out there. I got this on eBay, so check it out on eBay, or you can go to the Dummy website and it should
Wow.
be there.
So for those of you watching this on YouTube, if you saw the documentary and then you saw what Mandy was holding up, like you would understand why I'm like, oh my God, because yeah, no, that's the same graphic design on the front there that Paul used to promote the Pee Wee Herman Midnight Show. But yeah, guys, thoughts on that as as we saw Paul create this very, man, this is I'm blown away. And by the way, like that graphic design, Paul had mentioned that like with the Groundlings being on Melrose Avenue and that was like a big punk rock scene, Paul was just like, all right, fuck it, like I'm just gonna find this punk rock graphic designer artist and then I'm gonna kind of mix in this punk rock subversiveness with this 50s children's kid show influence and then make what you just showed there, Manny. So yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, but yeah, thoughts on the midnight show that Paul developed?
I'm always in for an attack to be petty, and being petty through television. Yes. Yes.
AJ, are you saying you're petty?
I am not petty. I am just
Petty
just
adjacent. I love it. I love it. And then and then you like in that midnight show that was developed at the Groundlings, you saw like the influence that Paul got from childhood TV shows. Like the character of Miss Yvonne came from the maternal characters that he saw in his childhood. Phil Hartman's Captain Carl. Apparently, Paul saw a lot of salty old sea captains in the shows that he watched as a kid. How they prepared the show make me anxious because the idea of like this big group of improvisers, like they're in a dressing room, they press record on the cassette player, and then they just kind of like riff at as these characters and figure out what works and then just kind of put that into the final product. I was like admiring that, but I was also like, oh my God, so much of the unknown and so many of these different ideas. And like, how do you create a cohesive final product based off of that? Like, I don't know if you guys had that same kind of like, what? Or were you just not me and you were actually chill and normal?
In a way, I kind of was feeling anxiety a bit too, because much like you, I've never had I never had a chance to perform or be an actor, but I'm pretty sure me being on stage, I help out with middle school plays, so I'm
Mhm.
usually in the background. So if you're screaming ideas and riffing constantly, there's no way to hone this idea and make it a narrative. At least to me, there isn't. So I kind of felt a little bit of an anxiety attack seeing the way how they were doing it. Because I don't think I'd know how to perform that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt seen. I felt so seen because
Okay.
this is how we put together drag shows. This is how we put together my TikTok skits and stuff. There's no organization whatsoever. It's
Really?
just start talking and we will edit it later.
Yep.
Nice.
And look, a lot of the times the best stuff comes out that way. So that's admirable that that process can work.
Yeah.
I was amused by the story of this midnight show. So let me know if I have this wrong. So Pee Wee wants a wish granted by the genie zombie, Manny. You said that was played by John Paragon.
Yes.
He meets Miss Yvonne, who wants Captain Carl to love her that way.
Mm.
Pee Wee decides to sacrifice his wish to wish that Miss Yvonne would be loved that way. And then, because of being a good boy for that sacrifice, he gets his own wish granted. I was just amused by the idea that, a woman asking for this man to fall, like basically this woman trying to force this man to fall in love with her. Like that is considered a noble thing for
Yes.
this childlike comedian to try to grant a wish to the genie gods for, and then boom, he will be rewarded in return. So I don't know if you guys were just like, oh yeah, that seems like a great innocent story, or were you just like, oh okay.
No, I thought it was great. In fact, I saw that on Comedy Central back in the day. Like
Really?
that was, yeah, they used to play like HBO reruns back in the 90s. And I was like, oh my God, it's Pee-wee. It's Pee-wee. And I've never seen the stage play before. So
And
this
they
was
showed it.
this was new to me. This was very new to me, and I loved it. It was great. Especially like me seeing Pee-wee's Playhouse at first and seeing sort of the beginnings of that.
Yeah.
It was very interesting to see that. So I liked it. I followed the story really well, especially when especially when John B got his hands. And there's a lot of risque jokes there, especially with like the mermaid, where it's like there's two things missing from this drawing. And Pee-wee says earrings. And Captain Carl's like, no, Pee-wee, a belly button and a watch. It's hilarious. It's that mile a minute humor. That was perfect. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Glorious. I'd watch it all over again just to get that experience.
And to think that the likes of Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro came to this midnight show, they were like, yeah, we got to watch this. Because you would think of these guys, they're like, oh, these serious actor, director
Highbrow.
types.
It's like,
Yeah, right. Highbrow.
we're not
like,
going to watch this. We turn our nose to it.
right. But no, they're even people like that were down for a bit of fun. So
Yes.
I loved that a lot. So the Groundlings improv show, or the Groundlings midnight show, takes off. It eventually becomes too big for that small theater, and then it moves to the Roxy. And then you just see it get big to the point where Paul essentially leaves, like, it looks like the entire cast behind, and then Pee-wee just becomes a solo effort as it becomes this bigger thing.
That's where the tear, I feel, started.
Yeah. And I was just wondering, I was like, oh, is he feeling any loneliness or anxiety, like, as he's rising up to the top, essentially alone? I mean,
No, because in the beginning he wanted to be a star, and he's like, if I have to step on a few people, if I get noticed, this is me. I'm the star. So there's kind of, I think, goes to his head a bit, and that's kind of bites him in the end a little bit. So
I just feel like I'm listening to my favorite starlet have like their whole arc happen here. He's entering his Joan Rivers saga, and then it's all about to just crash down.
Dude, Pee-wee and Joan Rivers were good friends too. So there you go.
Joan Rivers, I saw Joan Rivers. Didn't she make a guest appearance on his Christmas special that he did? Shortly after the 1991 arrest.
But before that, Joan Rivers and him, they were good friends. I think they hung out actually. And even when Joan Rivers unfortunately started her late night show in 1986, Pee-wee was a guest on with Cher as well, and Elton John. So that episode came out a day before I was born, October 9th, 1986.
Oh my God. You were born around the same time as the launch of the Fox network. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm as old as the Fox network.
So,
I mean, get away from me, Peg. So, yeah.
Oh my God. Pulling out all the stops. Married with Children, The Simpsons. You got all the Fox references ready to go. I love it. And then, Paul, like he was desperate for publicity, and he goes on this Larry King like CNN talk show that's on in like the middle of the night, in, I guess, the early 80s. And he initially has this sort of dual thing where you see like, Paul being interviewed as Paul, and then Paul being interviewed as Pee-wee, and then Paul eventually realizes like, no, actually it works better if I just stay Pee-wee all throughout. I had mentioned Arnold Schwarzenegger appearing and just being like, what? But well, it seems like you loved moments. So what are you laughing about? Like the Arnold moment, or
the
just
Arnold moment? Because he was being such a jerk to him. It's like, oh, what muscle? And he was just trying to be he was just making fun.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, Arnold, you jerk.
Yeah.
It was the ultimate trolling in the worst way.
Yeah.
But something about it, you can't look away.
Yeah, it's like a car crash, It's like, hey, I gotta see
Pretty
that.
much. And then Paul leads us into his iconic Late Night with David Letterman appearances, because he essentially uses that CNN talk show to audition for what he calls a real talk show. And I mean, if you don't know late night TV history, for those of you listening and viewing, Late Night with David Letterman was the place to be in the 80s if you wanted
Yeah.
to do alternative, strange comedy. So Paul was right at home as Pee Wee Herman.
It was perfect.
Yeah, he was just doing a lot of creative out there stuff. His dynamic with Dave as a straight man and Paul as the quirky out there guy as Pee Wee. It was such a perfect dynamic. And then it took the right management to watch that and just be like, hey kid, you can be a movie star.
I like the cut of your jib.
I love the yolk in your egg. We're going to make so many references to eggs because eggs are glorious.
Yes, they are. But why?
I don't know. You guys made a riff on it in the beginning and now I'm obsessed with it.
I love
I
it.
just need to know what was the emotion and sound that came out somebody's mouth when they said that looks edible. It's all I need to know.
Yeah. I mean, look, they smell terrible when they're hard boiled. They smell terrible when they're raw. Eggs, there's an easy way to make eggs a very disgusting thing. So I'm definitely with you on that, AJ. Yeah.
If you wrap it up in truffles, I think, and then let it
Yeah.
sit for a day and then cook it afterwards. Yeah, I think it's delicious.
Truffles,
Never
that's
had that.
another thing.
Yeah. I've never had that, but it sounded cool, so that's why I said it.
Oh my God. I love that. So can we talk about like this relationship between, well, not relationship, this struggle between art and commerce that a lot of artists have? Because usually, you have two kinds of artists. You have the kind of artist that's like, no, I want to be authentic with my art. I want to sell out to the man. And then you have the artist that and then you have the artist that just wants to make the most commercially successful thing. They want to make the most money, blah, blah, blah. Paul wanted to do both. He was like, I want to be as creative and quirky and out there as possible. And I want to be the biggest, most commercially successful star in the world. And I don't know. I just feel like in the 80s when it felt like you had to choose one or the other, it was interesting that Paul went out for both and he got that, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't talk about that if you guys have anything about that, because it's just an interesting conversation to have.
I think Paul is like a workhorse. I think he just really liked the grind of I could do this better. It's almost like he was a victim himself because it feels like he couldn't be satisfied with what he did. He feels like, no, I got to do this better. So many people said that Paul Rubens was really hard to work with, and it was pretty much probably for that reason.
Yeah.
Because he believes in quality, and if he's not happy, he has the final word, and if he doesn't like it, then you're out. So
Yeah.
there's you make friends and you lose friends over things like that.
Yeah, he was a perfectionist. Yeah. And that worked until it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
See, when it comes to art and being successful, I've never believed that there was a man. Like, everyone's like, you sold out to the man. And I'm like, but the man is money. So that means I'm doing what I want and I have more money.
Yeah.
I like to
I don't
eat.
get it. It's like, you want me to laugh, but I've got to eat.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever, to me, happens. Like, I don't believe somebody sold out to the man. I just think that they got better and people like it more.
Yeah.
You sold out, man. Like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Like, mine.
Oh my God. Yeah. So Paul's I guess Paul hires management that like they start him out with like this touring stage show around the country, because as someone in the documentary said, I can't remember, I think it was Rich, his manager, who said, like, ironically, Paul, like, we are going to try to get millions and millions of people to come to these stage shows around the country to convince 5 people in Los Angeles to put you in a movie to show that you can sell like movie ticket seats. And full circle moment. I mean, I think wasn't Andy Warhol at one of those shows, and Paul had mentioned that Andy Warhol was an influence. And Andy Warhol, I mean, his famous quote popped up in my wife and I's Airbnb in Manchester, New Hampshire over the weekend. His whole thing about, everybody's going to be famous for 15 minutes, and wow, he couldn't be more right. Look at where we are nowadays. But what did you think about that full circle moment? Like Paul getting to meet like Andy Warhol and just being like, what the fuck is my life right now?
It made me happy.
I'd say that too, because I mean, if he was an influence to him and actually meeting and getting to act with him too, I think that's probably doesn't get better than that. I mean, Paul even said when he also worked with Steve Martin as well, he was happy that he got a response. Like it's as different as getting a response from your comedy from your parents, and that's nice. But if someone like Steve Martin says something about your comedy that he likes, it's kind of means so much more to him. So I'm sure it was on cloud nine when he got to meet Andy Warhol and do some.
Like,
Yeah.
so Paul gets his dream. He gets to make the movie Pee-wee's Big Playhouse. Is that the first movie?
Big Adventure.
Big Adventure. Sorry. Pee-wee's
No,
Big
good.
Adventure. And when he was saying that, oh, we're definitely not going to talk about how much weed we smoked while making this script. Oh, wait a minute. I just talked about it. I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But it's like I think they're lying when people say we smoke weed and then we do this movie. When you're high, I don't think you want to do anything. So it's like I think they're lying at that point.
I have yet to experience this high where you want to do stuff. And trust me, I have tried for over 15 years to find it. And I have yet to find that high.
All right. So you think Seth Rogen is doing all of his amazing work while not smoking weed? Is that what you're saying?
Stone cold sober.
Yes.
That is what he is.
I totally agree with you, AJ. Yes. He is sober. It's all an act.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, oh my God. When Paul has talked about like how originally he wanted Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
To be influenced by the movie Pollyanna. When I found out what this movie was about, so a girl drops out of her bedroom window, paralyzed, and then that just somehow creates like all these kind townspeople around her. I was like, huh. I was like, forget about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I want to see this movie. What the hell? Who made this movie?
Well, in a way, Pollyanna, I watched Pollyanna because Paul said that story. Pollyanna has kind of a Pee-wee-esque personality in a way in that movie because she is a bit snarky, especially when she says like, what are you cheering for? Because my legs are broken. It has that snarky attitude that Pee-wee has and that certain swagger. So I think there is maybe some Pollyanna in Big Adventure regardless.
I have not seen Pollyanna, and this is now going to be something I watch.
It's on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Okay. There
You know what you're doing afterwards?
I'm smoking some weed and watching Pollyanna.
Let me know. Let me know later how it is, man. We gotta keep in touch. Seriously.
Yes,
Put some
yes,
weed,
I
put some
will.
eggs in the microwave and watch Pollyanna.
Yes. With my poppers.
With my poppers. Gonna have eggs, poppers, weed, and Pollyanna. Put that in a song.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love how this man's brain works. I really do. Because like I think he looked at like people riding their bikes on the Warner Brothers lot. And then that is how he created this idea of like, all right, this Pee-wee movie, Pee-wee has a bike that he loves so much, his bike gets stolen and he wants the bike back. Now, when you just hear it described like that, it's like, how is that a movie? But obviously, Paul made it into a really, really fun movie with all these layers. And then he gets this 27-year-old guy named Tim Burton, who directed this black and white, eerie 1984 film, Frankenweenie. How the hell Paul thought this guy would be great with this very bright, quirky Pee-wee film? It just speaks to the fascinating way that Paul's brain works. He just had this sort of intuition about Tim Burton, and then now Tim, arguably because of that big break from Pee-wee, he's the Tim Burton that we know today. So
it's that artistic style that he has, and that's what Paul really loved. Like him and Rich saw the movie together, and they both smiled at each other, and they're like, "Yeah, we love this guy. This is perfect." So it was the vision that they wanted.
Yeah, it was the universe aligning because Frankenweenie is great. Like just the name alone.
Oh, have you seen it, or you just like the name?
I just like the name, and
I've never seen it.
I've seen clips of it on YouTube. I've never seen the full thing, but the fact that it was called Frankenweenie is what drew me to it. So I'm like, okay, I get what's going on here.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I believe that like the studio executives see like a screening of the movie and they're like, oh, this doesn't look that great. And Tim and Paul were just like, all right, well, let's try it out by showing it in 3 cities. And then we'll have MTV like do this like movie premiere special. Paul's family shows up. You have Eddie Murphy show up. And then, it just builds into this iconic success. I think they paid only $6 million to make the movie and made like $40 million right off the jump. So
They called that the sleeper hit.
Yes, where people were like, fuck this movie, it's going to be trash. And then all of a sudden it's not trash. Yeah. And then, of course, because Paul is Paul, that insecure, fragile personality of his that's worked so perfectly in Hollywood, he made this pact with the devil, so to speak, saying that, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'm going to be known publicly. I'm going to be seen publicly only as Pee Wee Herman. And the cost of that to him was Tim Burton getting the lion's share of the creative credit for the Pee Wee movie. And Paul was kind of griping about, like, all right, well, it says my name, Paul Rubens, as one of the three guys that wrote the script along with Phil Hartman and such, but people don't know who Paul Rubens is. They don't know that Paul Rubens is me. All they know is that, you know, here's this goofy guy named Pee Wee that just happens to be in this movie that's directed by Tim Burton. So I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Did you maybe had a sense of like, no, dude, this is what you signed up for? Or were you kind of like feeling sympathetic to the fact that Paul just did not get the credit that he thought he deserved, you know?
I don't know how I feel about that one. Because, yeah, maybe he didn't get the credit he deserved right there in that moment, but he was the star of it. So he like won people's hearts, not just their dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it because this is part of where his control freak thing happens, where it's like, I should be known for everything. Yeah, Tim directed it, but I starred and I wrote this movie too. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like he was asking for too much, personally speaking, I think. And there's even moments where I think it's stuck with him because I saw a signing that Paul Rubens did, and someone gave him a Pee Wee's Big Adventure poster to sign. He's like, I'm going to sign Tim Burton's name. How about that? So he's obviously still salty about it, even to this.
Damn.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Damn. That's something that you would do, AJ. I know you're laughing.
Yes. The ultimate petty move. Yes. Really.
That is funny. That is funny. And you know, bouncing off of that control freakness, I mean, you get it at the beginning of part 2 of this doc, where I think Paul is on the phone with Matt Wolf, the whole director and producer behind this thing, and he was like, "Oh, like maybe there's like a point where I could bring about questions that you could ask me, and then I could kind of give you stories I could tell, and then maybe I could bring some people in that could tell stories that I want them to tell." And Matt is just on the other end of the phone, like, "Buddy, this is not how this works."
I just don't know who that other person is that he shows the phone to. So that's a mystery that never got explained in the movie. So very interesting. Because obviously he's playing a joke on him, but then the camera goes to someone else and it's like, it doesn't explain who that person is. So, but yeah, it's a nice practical joke that Paul did, but with who? I don't know who. So we'll see. Maybe that might get explained in the future.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that there will be a documentary about this documentary in the future because there's so much there that I just know they're going to talk to everybody who was in that room.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Especially someone like Paul. I'm sure he had a bunch of funny stories to tell the makeup people and probably the craft service people probably too.
Yep.
As they were doing this. So I would love to see a 9-hour or 10-hour cut of this thing.
Find Pee Wee as himself. A closer look. I love it. So yeah, so then I think we get like just constant footage of Pee Wee on the rise in the 80s. I mean, he's appearing on all the talk shows. He's presenting at award shows. He's hosting SNL. He is on a black ass show like 227. I did not see that coming. Did you guys know that he was on 227?
He was on the sitcom. Yeah. It was a Christmas episode. Yeah. They get stuck in a department store and Pee Wee is there buying toys or whatever, and he just helps him escape, I think. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, that's kind of the premise.
I never thought I would see Jackie and Paul Rubens in the same room together. So, oh God, remember when Paul Pee Wee's Big Adventure makes money. Paul puts a down payment on this really run-down green shack-looking house. But the only reason why he buys it is because there is an outside pool. And when you dive into the outside pool, as you're diving, you can see the famous Hollywood sign off the mountains. And I was like,
gorgeous.
it's gorgeous, but I'm also just like, if there isn't a perfect example of how this man's ego needs to be satisfied, like that's it right there. You need that constant validation of your success every time you take a dip into the pool. I love it.
But he also loves nature too, which I didn't know. And
That
that's
too.
why I think he picked that place because of all the deer and the animals and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's gorgeous. I didn't know a place in LA would look like that. So that's kind of nice. Pretty nice.
That's what I always hoped places in LA looked like. And then when I saw a real picture, I was like, oh God, I would not want to live there.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. And Paul could have like stayed on the movie route because this was a time when it was like TV is inferior, movies are superior, and TV, if you're going to be in TV, it's basically a stepping stone to the movies. But no, when Paul had the call from CBS executives after the Pee Wee's Big Adventure movie took off to start up the Pee Wee's Adventure, or I'm sorry, the Pee Wee's Playhouse Saturday morning children's TV show, Paul was excited because he got brought back to his childhood and all the influences that he had growing up watching Howdy Doody and whatnot on TV. And he was like, oh my God, if I have the opportunity to be that same sort of inspiration to kids watching me, that's wonderful. I
And he
loved
kind
how
of
he
already did a pilot too, which was the stage show. So there you go.
the Midnight Show. Yes. Pee Wee After Dark. P. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We're recording later than I thought, so I'm getting loopy at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, I mean, I know you had mentioned you loving the show Pee Wee's Playhouse, Manny. AJ, you had mentioned watching it shortly before you got on here. So God, I mean, I, as someone who's never watched an episode of the show, just seeing clips from the documentary, I just see, oh, okay, this is a very brightly colorful show, brightly colorful set designs and characters. You have this green quirky chair called Cherry, you have Cowboy Curtis, you have a dancing cow, like you have all this stuff that is definitely going to be appealing to a child that is into high stimuli entertainment, or maybe an adult who's on a certain kind of drug. What were your thoughts watching? I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe you're stone cold sober as an adult and you're enjoying this. But I was watching all these clips and I was thinking like, wow, this is admirable that Paul created a show out of all this. But at the same time, Jesus, I needed to sit down after 2 seconds of watching it.
As somebody who has only watched it in a unsober state,
Okay.
it was very,
There you go. You proved my point.
it was very
You
good.
proved my point. You proved my point. I feel like give me a bunch of edibles and eggs, and I am going to enjoy this until the cows come home. Give me some cow titty juice with edibles dipped in, and I am going to enjoy this. Anywho, I'm sorry.
God.
What were you about to say, AJ?
Uh,
So you've seen this unsober, and I'm sure you have a critical analysis about this show that is going to be breathtaking.
you know, there is a moment where you're rolling a blunt
Okay.
and you're just staring at the
We've all been
television.
there.
Yeah.
And everything's funny, but it's after the first couple of hits of that freshly rolled blunt, you're like, wow, I've never known what comedy was.
Yeah. Right.
Because
Right?
why am I best friends with Cherry? That makes no sense.
Yeah. Oh my God. Miss Yvonne is riding that horse so aggressively. That's so great. I wish I could ride a horse like that. Oh my God.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Manny, have you been sober while watching Pee Wee's Playhouse?
All the time.
Oh, okay.
Oh man. Well, like I said, when I was a kid, I didn't know those shagadelics existed, but
Yeah.
I absolutely loved. Like I said earlier, I love Pee Wee's Playhouse. I cannot get enough of that show, and
Yeah.
seeing I'd say like, well, a little ungrateful too, because I wish there were DVD commentaries on these episodes of the show. I would find it so fascinating, but that's never existed. The closest thing we have is the Blu-ray, which comes with interviews from the cast and crew. But
Yeah.
to me, that's kind of not enough. I want to see outtakes. I want to see some of the dirty dirty talk that we don't get to see on TV. Because
Right.
according to their stories, there were a lot of bad talks, especially like Lawrence Fishburne with the late night crew, the Puppet Land band. They've had their own little conversations going back and forth. I would love to see clips of that. I would love to see that.
Like what kind? Like fun conversations?
They said just not kid appropriate. That's all Lawrence Fishburne said. It's like, yeah, that's my crew right there. But we said a lot of stuff that wasn't family friendly.
Yeah.
And
Well, look,
Lawrence Fishburne was on the interviews, and he absolutely loved his time on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So he is totally grateful for that show.
That's
Loved
good.
it.
That's good. Yeah, seeing him there, you had the actress who played the mail lady who was also African American.
Patha Murkison, I believe.
Oh, nice. Thank you. And the actor who played Dracula in that Blackula movie.
Yes, William Marshall was the king of cartoons, but season 1 was Gilbert Lewis. He was my favorite king of cartoons. In fact, season 1 of Pee-wee's Playhouse is my favorite because it's the most uncomfortable season because they did not like the filming of the episodes because it was such in a tight space.
Yeah.
And there was moments when the air conditioner didn't work, so they were constantly working in really harsh sweatshop conditions. So you could see it in the crew that they're very uncomfortable and they're not having a good time. That's why that season to me is so magical, because it's like we're trying to have fun here, but it's really tense. It's a very tense season. So it's great. Yeah.
Just a very tight set, long work days.
Yeah.
Paul being the perfectionist that he is, not turning in the tape for air until like 20 minutes before airtime.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just think about what I didn't expect was like sort of like the racial and social progressiveness that was happening within that show, because you have all this black talent that I mentioned.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Okay, in season 2, the security guard for Pee-wee's Playhouse was the guy who directed Boys in the Hood.
Oh, what?
And that's how him and Lawrence Fishburne met to do that movie. So
John Singleton, I think.
I believe so. Yeah, he recently passed away, but yes, he was the security guard on Pee-wee's Playhouse season 2.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and then
that's a neat bit of trivia there for you,
right? And then Jimmy Smits, who I know from I think he was on L.A. Law, Dexter, The West Wing. He was there as the
Conky repairman, yeah.
Repairman, who I think had a kind of a thing going on with Miss Yvonne.
Well, Miss Yvonne was flirting with him, but yes, in a way.
Gotcha. And then there was that Spanish cartoon El Hombre that did not show the English subtitles. You had this 7-year-old stop motion animated feminist character like
Penny, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the progressiveness that Paul inhabited from like, his LA, San Francisco, probably also Sarasota days, like you see it full force in Pee Wee Herman. And, and I'm glad that it got credit in the documentary. So, did you guys find that watching a dog eat food for 2 minutes was innovative?
Yes, because when I first saw that, I had no idea why that was there, because little old me, I was just excited to see Pee-wee's Playhouse, and then all of a sudden, why is there this episode where there is hardly a story? Literally, look up the episode. It's called Tango Time. That's the episode. It's literally 2 minutes of his dog Roosevelt eating food. I hated that part as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. So yeah,
AJ,
okay. I watched animals eat food just in my spare time for hours.
Like an ASMR TikTok experience?
Yes. I will literally watch people just feed their dogs for hours.
Hey, that's a thing. It is a calming therapeutic thing to watch people do simple tasks like that on the internet. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
I don't want to see people do it. I don't want to see anybody human. Just a dog or a cat.
Yeah, you need to clarify. You don't want to see humans do that. They can get very messy.
No. I am down with that. I'm down with that. I saw this random woman, Sherry, from Binghamton, New York, getting dressed, eating, sleeping. I just watched her.
There's
You're a
something about
stalker, John. What's going on here?
He's the one recording it, putting it out on TikTok. Who's the stalker? He is stalking me by forcing me to watch her do that.
Yeah, it's reverse stalkerism. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead, AJ.
there's something fun to me about a television show. If I sit down and watch it and just these three concepts are together, we have an intro. It could be the same intro from every week. Then the next cut is to some kind of scene that is not translated and is in a completely different language. And then a dog eating for 2 minutes. That is the best television show in history to me. That's all I need in my life.
I'd say it was ahead of its time then.
I think it's a stretch to call just 2 minutes of a dog eating food innovative. I would say that Paul knew that there was a lawlessness to Saturday morning TV, as mentioned in the doc. Like there's just a certain creative freedom that you might not get from primetime television, and he took advantage of that. And honestly, someone like myself who can get creatively rebellious every now and then, I can tinkle with an egg or two and put it on TV. Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. So if you have the time, you can you could do what you will with it. Um, I was amused by the network exec note that Paul got about like you cannot stick pencils in potatoes, and Paul was like, "Why?" And the exec was like, "Okay, I guess you can." Like it was just like, "Why?
Lead
Why?
poisoning, I guess. But I don't know.
Is there some innuendo that I'm missing here? Like, why can't you stick a pencil in a potato?" So,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Sometimes the secret to a good creative leader is asking questions. Why?
There are no dumb questions. Remember that.
We'll agree to disagree.
Okay.
The birthday texts that Paul sends to what 12 people like once a year. I wonder if those people knew that he had cancer. Like, I was wondering if like what the closeness of those people to his life were. Like, I know he didn't share with the overall public that he had cancer, but I don't know. I just wonder if
Like close friends, probably.
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe he had a close circle that he probably told, but
Yeah.
I don't know. They were sworn to secrecy, maybe.
Yeah. There's very few people in this world that I'm going to text specific things to. So I can understand being very close. Like, I'm not sharing information. But if you receive a birthday text from me, know that I am asking for your blood one day.
Happy birthday. Hope you're doing well. Are you type O or type A? Tell me now.
What a segue. Nice to hear from you too.
But really, can I put a needle in your arm?
The
I
way
was
you're
wondering about
asking
the
that's
beat-
like, is that a needle in your arm or are you just happy to see me?
Yeah,
Like-
this is true. This is true. This is true. Absolutely. There's nothing I like more than into the arm penetration. That is what I look for.
It's therapeutic, really.
IAP, they say at the doctors, intra-arm penetration.
Love it.
Anyway, the deal that Paul made that tore him and his manager Rich apart and led them to sue each other. They didn't describe it. Paul just said vaguely that there was a deal that was made. Any thoughts as to what that deal could have been? Yeah.
There was an article that was loosely written about it. It was on it was called Pee-wee's Courthouse, and the writer was Tad Fiend. It was basically, long and short of it, Richard and him planned on doing another like 3 more Pee-wee movies under the current contract at Warner Brothers. And Paul didn't want to do that, so he breached the contract and he wanted to do more work on the show when Richard was like, "You'll get more money doing it this way." But then that's when heads bobbed and they sort of broke apart because they couldn't agree on it. Basically, it went down to money, and Paul just wanted more, and he just didn't want to work with Rich anymore. If he's like, Richard's just going to hold me back, so I don't want to work with him anymore. So it's kind of like that.
What do you guys think about this idea of like the person that you are in business with, that you have some kind of creative partnership with, just also happens to be a close friend of yours? Because Paul had this unhealthy thing where his life was working. So any friendships you're going to make is with people you work with. And if you are in conflict with people that you work with, such as your manager, and you split up, not only is that business partnership done, but a very important close friendship in your life is done.
Yeah.
It's a tricky thing, and I want to know what your guys' thoughts were on that because, if you are working constantly and you're making friendships in the workplace like that, it's kind of hard to get away from, but at the same time, like, I wonder if there could have been a more active ability on his part to separate important friendships and business partners, separate the personal from the professional, you know?
You've got to
Mhm.
have that separation. You've got to have that separation because if you don't, it's that concept of don't shit where you eat. Like it can get really messy,
Yeah.
especially once you're in those big fields of there's a lot of money and a lot of livelihood to you lose here. I think it's important to draw that boundary. They're not getting a birthday text message.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's rough because I used to be on my own all the time. I used to make videos. It's nothing lucrative at all. It's just for fun and a hobby. But then later on, when I got invited to be a part of a podcast, like the Splat Attack one, I find it great to work with others and collab with different ideas. I can't think of doing it on my own. I kind of like being a part of a team because you're constantly with each other. At least that's my opinion. I don't know about doing it alone.
Yeah. Did you like, have you seen that circus theme sequel? I think it was Big Top Pee Wee that Paul made.
I did.
Um, you're saying very unfortunately you did. Yeah. Cause the
Well,
movie ended up not getting great reviews. What were your thoughts on it?
my opinion about the movie is that it was good though.
Oh,
It didn't feel like a Pee-wee movie because it was kind of, you know how Pee-wee's Big Adventure was sort of just like its own weird world. This is Pee-wee in the real world. So I just didn't feel like it meshed right. It should have been a different story. Like I feel like the Pollyanna story is much more like the Big Top Pee-wee version of that type of movie. So it wasn't my favorite, but I don't think it deserves the hate that it got. I just think it's an okay movie, but I think Big Adventure is a much better Pee Wee movie. At least that's
yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. I know that Paul was very insecure about the Tim Burton getting a lot of the credit for the first movie, so he wanted to make sure that that didn't happen with the second movie.
Yeah.
So he essentially hired a director that would be a yes man to him for like looking over his shoulder constantly and having all this, really out there creative control. And I just wonder if that played a big part in the movie not being received as well.
Yeah,
Is
I think it's
Paul?
self-sabotage, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
It's Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was thinking about Tyler Perry when I watched the movie, and I had a feeling you would say Tyler Perry. Yeah,
Tyler Perry, man. Yeah.
Yeah. You're the only person in that room and you have nobody to say, this does not make sense to everybody.
yeah.
Hmm.
And yet he still pops up as number one on Netflix when his shows come out. When will Tyler Perry face the consequences?
I wish he would, man. Jeez.
Have you seen his? Have you seen his stuff too, Manny?
Yes. Yes. I've seen the Medea movies.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's just they're fine. They're not great, but they're fine. They're okay. But I just feel like he gets a little too much credit on stuff and people kiss the ground that he walks on. I just
yeah.
don't think he's the best. Just my opinion.
It's understandable. He has me blocked. So that's all I have to
He
say.
has you blocked?
He did not like the fact that I don't like the movie Acrimony. And he blocked me.
Wait. Background. Where did he block you?
Yeah.
What did you say? How did he like? He just the actual Tyler Perry account like went after you?
He blocked me. So the question that is in Acrimony is how does she get on the boat? How does a woman in a wedding dress get back on a boat that is speeding after she is thrown off of the boat?
It's a movie. You're supposed to expand disbelief.
And Tyler Perry
To this day, he has never answered it. He was asked it in an interview. I did a review of the interview asking Tyler, how does she get on this boat? And the next day, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, I was blocked.
Damn.
Whoa. That man sucks.
Tyler Perry
Jeez.
canceled
Yeah.
AJ Vandertunt. That is a
Wow.
headline.
Just because of that question.
And that was my
Wow.
question. I just want to know. And it's not a question that not other people have asked. Many people have asked, how did she get on the boat? It just doesn't make sense for the movie.
You've
It's
been
because you
silenced by
hit
the
a
king.
sore spot. You hit a sore spot. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Man.
You have been silenced by the king, and it's now time to protest.
Fist bump. Boom.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Where's your frog
Amazing.
costume? Protest. Anywho, yeah, Paul's like literally the moment that the Pee Wee Big Top didn't do well. I mean, Paul didn't have a parking spot anymore. That the documentary was talking about how his parking spot was painted over, and it was just a good example of like Hollywood spitting you out as quickly as they chew you up.
Well, it also humbles him a bit too, because he thought like everything I touch is going to turn to gold. So, I'm not going to do anything wrong here. And then as soon as that happened, oh, that's reality. That's harsh. So,
yeah. So Paul is in a funk from the Big Top experience, and then what gets him out of the funk is producing that Pee Wee Christmas special, and then the last 2 seasons of Pee Wee's Playhouse. He decides to put that to bed. Based on watching Howdy Doody growing up, he just felt like the show deserved a fitting end that viewers would be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly after the show, he decides to take a break and go visit his family in Sarasota, Florida. And that's when we get to the infamous adult film incident, which Paul describes as like really the first moment in his life where he had no control at all. Thoughts about the incident, about the news coverage of the incident?
Go ahead. I've got to hear what you guys think.
Okay. I have a theory on this too.
And we
so
just
happy.
say starting off that Paul was accused of indecently exposing himself in an adult film theater back in 91. So go ahead.
Which is currently a Mellow Mushroom in Sarasota, Florida right now. So
A what?
yeah, that's what it is.
What's a Mellow Mushroom?
Mellow Mushroom is a pizza place. You never heard of that? Oh, it's a really good pizza place. Every pizza place is themed a different thing. It's really cool. Where I used to live in Atlanta, there was a ton of those over there. So it's great. Yeah,
Oh
check
my
it out
God.
sometime. It's cool. It's really cool.
I gotta go there and say out loud, this is where Paul allegedly manipulated his genitalia.
There's even a painting of Paul or Pee Wee, like right there on the wall. It's like a mural, and it's all painted with different Sarasota memorabilia. And yeah,
Okay.
Pee Wee's on there too. But anyway, going back to the incident, my theory is that years later, there was an episode of the Howard Stern show from 91, obviously talking about this incident. So Howard calls the adult film theater, and apparently it's a 24-hour operation. The movies continuously play.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a message that says, visit our gift shop where you can buy a lot of novelty items. And at the time, Pee Wee, when he was on late night shows and what have you, he would always bring out a bunch of props and a bunch of novelty toys.
Yeah.
So I feel when people ask, why was Pee Wee in this adult theater? I think Paul was there looking at the novelty items to buy toys for like maybe a future guest appearance on something or whatever.
Oh.
And I think he was arrested in the lobby. That's how it happened. It wasn't like in the theater someone taps him on the shoulder, hey, get up. No, he was in the lobby of the theater, and that's where the cops arrested him, along with 3 other people. So I think he said he didn't do it, and I believe that. I really feel like this was just, oh, you look like somebody, and you're arrested. And once you sign your name, oh, it's Paul Rubens. And then once he got arrested, there was a detective that looked at like the documents of who got arrested that night, and they recognized Paul Rubens, and they're like, oh, wow. So that's when the news media starts on this feeding frenzy of like, oh my God, it's Paul Rubens, it's Pee Wee Herman. What happened? Because at that time, he filmed those last 2 seasons of Pee Wee's Playhouse in 1989. So that gave him like a year to grow his hair and grow his beard. And so that's sort of where I feel like it was shocking to most people because of the damn mugshot. And I feel like if he wasn't a kid's entertainer, it probably would have gotten out of hand as much as it did. So I feel like it got blown way out of proportion here.
Oh, it did. It did. But go ahead, AJ.
So I'm with you. I actually don't think it happened. I don't think that he did what he's accused of, especially after watching the documentary. And it's because of some things here. And just stick with me. Gay people, we know how to cruise. We know how to take something out if you want to get some attention or play with your junk in a movie theater. And
Yeah.
if this is an adult movie theater, I don't know anybody who's at an adult movie theater or an adult movie showing that's going to be like, why is he masturbating? This is weird. While we are watching this on the screen, nobody is going to say or do that and then say, let me call the cops right now.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to me there. The fact that it's an adult movie theater, which would lead me, at least through experience, to believe that they were possibly gay themed movies, would make this a target for police in Florida. And then
Yeah.
they saw his name and they're like, yeah, we got him.
And Sarasota at the time was a conservative community. So
I'm sure.
that's probably what it was, too.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I was just I was seeing that CBS News coverage. You have, of course, Paul's mugshot. He is like this frown-faced hippie-looking guy with the long, shaggy hair, the facial hair, the sunglasses, and then you have the B-roll of Pee-wee's Playhouse rolling right next to the shot of his mugshot. It's just very eerie, and it just makes things look a lot worse than it was. Obviously, I could see how some conservative nut would look at this mugshot and that children's show and make that stupid trope that unfortunately has been equated with the gay community, which is the whole pedophilia trope. It didn't look great and made me feel very terribly for Paul. You had this detective who was interviewed, and he had claimed that he had seen Mr. Rubens manipulate his genitalia. I mean, that sounds like doing some kind of weird science project on your penis. I've never heard anybody say anything because just say masturbation, but I guess in 1991 on the news, we're not going to say that. We're going to say manipulate genitalia. It was awful.
You know what the ass kicker about that was too? Is like at that time, the police department in Sarasota, all they were doing was just sitting and watching TV. And their job was to like, oh, well, you know what? Let's go to the porno theater and make some arrests. Yes, so, that's exactly how I feel about that.
For people listening on the video, Manny just had a thumbs down come up on his Zoom at the end of that sentence about the arrest.
For good reason. For good reason. I'm against it. But yeah, it's like it showed that the cops were pretty much bored. And even though the drug dealers and the rapists were still out there, it's like, oh, let's just go to the porn theaters. Why? Just that one thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
And you have, these idiots like the comedian Sam Kinison and Soupy Sales that are just hopping up on the sensationalism of this media coverage and just saying,
Sam Kinison, man. He is worse. I think he's worse.
Yeah. And just saying like, oh, this is deviant behavior and kids shouldn't be around this guy and yada, yada, yada. And unfortunately, I felt like those voices were drowned out by, remember when they showed that call-in show, that Messages for Pee-wee show, where like fans were calling in and saying, hey, I don't give a fuck about your private life. Like, you're still Pee-wee to me. I think that didn't get as much coverage as all the negative voices out there.
Oh, no, of course. I mean, it's the news. Negative is always going to be
of course
priority.
Yeah. It probably wasn't until when Paul showed up as Pee-wee at the MTV Awards. It wasn't until that appearance and all the protests about like bringing his show back on CBS. I think that's when it started to gain traction that like, okay, this is ridiculous what this guy is being arrested for. And and what was I forgot, what was the result of that in the courtroom? He
pleaded no contest.
Okay.
So he pleaded not guilty.
And that worked out in his favor for that charge.
For that charge. So he did the drug PSA as part of a community service that was given to him. And the PSA was a Penny cartoon about saying no to drugs, which I remember seeing on TV because I was like, it's Penny. So that means Pee-wee's going to come back, right? Right? No, it's not. So that's what it was.
Where's that thumbs up on your Zoom right now? That would be oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. There we go.
Oh no, I meant thumbs down. That
you wanted a thumbs down. Let me see if that happens again. There we go. There we go.
But I think there was a moment where Paul and his team, they tried to distract from the arrest coverage with Paul going out with a female date. Like they had like a paparazzi photo, like it was an arranged paparazzi photo of him going out with a female date. This was before the sort of lavender marriage arrangement that he had with that LA law actress. But yeah.
Carol Kane. Yeah, Carol Kane, I believe.
Carol Kane. Yeah.
Photo.
Yeah, I got why he was doing it, but at the same time, I was like, oh boy, but you're not being your true self. So it was like mixed feelings when I saw that.
Yeah. I mean,
One of those,
he was stuck in a rock and a hard place, I think. I don't
Yeah.
think anything he would have done, it just would have been frowned upon, probably.
with
Go ahead, Andy.
society at that time, you work on kids' television and they find out that you're gay, you handed them a nuclear bomb for your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just it's easy for them to just rip you to pieces.
Yeah. And basically a miracle that he was able to come back in the way that he did. I know that his co-star David Arquette from that Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie was talking about the friendship that he built with Paul. Did Paul have a thing in his contract that stated that his character from Buffy had to look like his mugshot? Is that what I watched in the doc, or am I wrong on that?
I'm
Was that a
assuming
joke
so.
that Paul did?
I don't think so. I think the
Oh, okay.
director who was directing it was like, I don't want Pee Wee Herman back. I want the guy in the mugshot. That's who I
Oh,
want. So he wanted him to look like he did in the mugshot.
and Paul was okay with that.
Absolutely. He was totally
Yes.
cool with that because I think it was a low point in his life, but I think he could also laugh at that moment too of
Right.
how
Right.
ridiculous it was.
Yeah. And we already established that like he, made a big comeback, I think, throughout the 90s and onward, appearing in Murphy Brown, appearing in that movie Blow, appearing in Batman.
Dustin checks in. Yeah, that one too.
Yeah. What was he in, was he in the Michael Keaton Batman movie?
Yeah, he was in Batman Returns. He plays Penguin's father. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He
I
also
love that.
played him again on the Gotham series in 2015. Yeah.
Which was so good.
Yeah.
Another relationship I did not know I had with Paul was that series. I was like, I
Batman.
love this man.
It's
I
great,
love
man.
that.
It
Oh
was
my God,
also
that's-
played with Simone, who was from Pee-wee's Big Adventure too. So that was kind of neat.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Holy crap. So things are going well with Paul, 90s, 2000s, with this blossoming career, because now he's known as what he originally thought he was going to be, which is Paul Rubens and
The
these,
actor.
yeah, these versatile array of characters that he could play. And then, again, wrong place, wrong time, I guess associated with the wrong people. Once again, like the incident where Jeffrey Jones from the Ferris Bueller movie comes to Paul's house, and Jeffrey Jones was known for, I mean, they say improprieties. Does that allege to child porn based on what we later see Paul being accused of, or what does improprieties mean?
It could be such a blanket statement.
Yeah.
It really can be. It could be as simple as stealing from a dollar store. That could be an impropriety.
So I think the story goes that someone was at Paul's house when he was with Jeffrey Jones, and maybe because Jeffrey had this blanket statement improprieties thing with him, they associated that with Paul, and then all of a sudden Paul is being accused of possessing child pornography when he clearly did not have that. It was
Vintage erotica.
It was vintage erotica. Someone said that you literally find this stuff at the LGBT archives and libraries.
Yeah.
Just
and
harmless.
Paul's a huge collector too, so it could have been from that time too, because he loved the 50s. So
yeah,
I'm wondering if it was Tom of Finland, like that kind of art. That's what I would imagine, but I don't know. And again, because it's something that I think was probably gay, it was blown out of proportion to make it seem like it's this horrible thing when it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, all the B-roll, like, just shows various, like, adult gay male erotica. It seemed fine.
And there was nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing that I saw.
Yeah. And, a lot of the stuff was stored, barely touched. So that added to the fact that it was just a collection and Paul wasn't doing any creepy daily stuff with it, whatever that means. But yet, because I guess he was in the same place with the wrong person who gossiped to this sort of political influence who was trying to win points in the town that Paul lived in.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Paul had this possession of child pornography charge on him. And I think that had turned into a charge of obscenity, which he agreed to, and he didn't end up being charged for child pornography, which was good. But then it was like, he couldn't be like unsupervised around children for a degree of time. He had to register as a sex offender for 3 years. So it was just sad because it was like, oh, this guy, came back really nicely from the 1991 incident, and then you have this stupidity here, which again goes
Which
into the trope of like, oh, like here's a man who might be gay and he might be into children like that, and it was just terrible,
I think it was just they saw dollar signs and they just wanted to just exploit that. Because
Yeah,
really, Paul did nothing wrong, and that collection is not what they say it is.
yeah,
So it's ridiculous. It just irritates me.
I don't have anything to say because all it would be is expletives. Because it's just literally like, what the fuck? Leave people alone.
yeah,
Exactly. Just leave him alone.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But thankfully, it looked like he had enough uh, redemption on his side, and he brought Pee Wee back as both a stage show and a holiday movie. I think the stage show. He did. Manny, do you remember like how that stage show was brought about in the 2010s? Was it like,
Yeah, it's very interesting. Back in 2006, Pee-wee's Playhouse started showing on Adult Swim, and that's where a lot of my friends finally got to see Pee-wee's Playhouse, and they know about the show that I told them about.
oh,
And around that time, Paul started to get more light in the media, doing more talk show appearances as well. And he was even talking about a new Pee-wee's Playhouse the movie. So that was a new script that they were talking about. The same thing with the Pee-wee Herman story, which is like a look in the way of how Pee-wee um went into stardom, and then all of a sudden it was all taken away. It was kind of like a
yeah,
dark rated R Pee-wee movie, which I would have loved to see. And so that sort of brought on more attention to the stage show. But then he wanted to bring Pee-wee back sort of like as a surprise. So in 2007, he went to the Spike TV Guys Choice Awards as Pee-wee Herman for no particular reason at all. That was the first
hmm,
time Pee-wee was Pee-wee since 1991. So
wow,
everybody was taking pictures. Will Ferrell was taking pictures with him and stuff. So it was really cool. And then that got enough attention in 2009 to do the stage show.
yeah,
Originally, it was in the Club Nokia Theater in LA.
yeah,
And so then in 2010, it moved to Broadway.
yeah,
And it's sort of like a retelling and a rehash version of the 1981 Roxy show with a
yeah,
few new things added. It has more Pee-wee's Playhouse references to it. Cowboy Curtis is there too. Globy's there. Magic Screen's there. Cherry's there.
hmm,
So it's a neat retelling of the 81 version with a few little new quirks to it. Like they have a character called Sham Wow there as well.
oh, okay,
And uh oh geez. Sergio, the Playhouse uh, operator or whatever, construction worker.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's kind of neat. It's a really neat show, and it was pretty much just done like Paul just said, like, why not? No time like the present, right? So hopefully this will bring some more eyes on Pee Wee Herman because he also wanted to do another Pee Wee movie, and that's sort of gained more attention to that.
yeah. He did the Pee Wee Holiday movie, I think, with the production help of Judd Apatow,
Yeah,
and Judd's producing partner, Paul, whatever his last name is. Do you
Paul
know?
Rust.
Paul Rust, who I loved in that Netflix show, I think Love with Gillian Shea.
I believe so.
Yeah, it was a show. It was a great romantic comedy show that was on Netflix like years ago. I loved it, so that's where I recognized him from. Okay, so yeah, we have Paul Rubens coming back as Pee Wee with the holiday movie and with the stage show, and then Paul's control freak tendencies kick in with the documentary. Like he stopped cooperating with the doc, I think a year into them producing it.
I think so.
Yeah. And then we hear this phone conversation that he has with Matt Wolf about like, the insecurity about how the doc will portray him and hopefully portraying him the right way that he wants to be portrayed. And then you get this sort of black slide that is again eerie that says that Paul never completed the final on-camera interview. And then it just so happens that the day before he died, he records an audio message that expresses what he hoped the perfect documentary of him would look like, what he hoped his fans would see. And it's interesting to hear, not only because of how Paul is expressing this idea, but um, I guess because this was the day before he was dying of cancer, yeah, he sounds weak and unrecognizable and a little bit more bassy. Like you can hear that this was a guy that didn't have too much time left. So I don't know. What did you guys think as you were hearing these final words from Paul?
I cried.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I there was so much that was, I think, just bringing back memories I never wanted to think about
Yeah.
during that portion where I was just like, I'm happy that we got to hear the actual final message.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, God damn, it's over. And that's how I just thought, I'm just like, I hope that he's happy and at peace with what people got to enjoy from him.
That's a really great way of putting it too. Yeah, I was really sad when I heard this last message as well. But much like I said earlier, it really makes me happy that Paul gave all he did. He gave like 150% to what he thought would bring people joy. And in the end, that's pretty much what he wanted to do. And I feel like he succeeded with that. So it was a really nice, but very depressingly sad message at the very end.
Yeah. And while he was saying those final words, I was wondering, like, oh, like, did he give permission for all of this to be released? Because, you know, he was having second thoughts. And then it was confirmed that he did take a leap of faith, like, just before he left us. And that, you know, he decided that the documentary should be finished. And it was nice. It was nice to hear that his final days, he was in a loving relationship. He had friends that were great surrounding him.
He was feeding those birds and
Yeah.
animals that were there too. So
That's great because, you know, there are definitely ways to die that are not wonderful. So for him to have that those symbols of just contentment and community around him, I thought that was very nice. To close out this conversation, what do you what did you guys think of Paul Rubens after the documentary versus the beginning of it, if there's any change at all, you know?
There is a whole change.
Oh.
There was, because I didn't know much about Paul before this. And it wasn't until just watching the documentary, seeing the things that I had not known that influenced part of my childhood and adulthood. It went from this man who I would probably walk by and not say a word to somebody I'm ready to drop acid with and have a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that. I see that. I mean, my God. I don't know if I would choose acid, but definitely the marijuana I would do. Definitely the Mary Jane, as the kids say.
as our youngsters say, Mary
Yes.
Jane.
The devil's lettuce. The Green Goblin. Manny, what did you think? If anything, like did your thoughts about Paul Rubin change at the end of the documentary versus the beginning of it?
I don't know. I've always had a love for Paul Rubens and Pee Wee Herman. That's never ever gonna change.
Yeah.
So it was great to see all the new information because, like I said, we didn't know anything about Paul's past because he never talked about it. So seeing this really rare look of him being vulnerable and opening up as much as he wanted to about his past, his relationships, and his life, it was brilliantly done. And I'm sure it was not a really easy task. I mean, I've seen many interviews with Matt Wolf, and he says it's one of the hardest things he's ever done, especially like interviewing somebody. He says like there's moments where it's like I just wanted to quit, but he didn't. And I'm so happy he didn't. But wow, I can see how much of a challenge this would have been to do. So props to him and for Paul for being such a great sport about it. Seriously.
Yeah. Hey, for you listening and viewing, I mean, I encourage you, look at all the Paul Rubens content you can. The Pee Wee movies, the Pee Wee television show, Paul's movies that he's done as other characters. Like, dive into that. If you haven't already, dive into the
Chia Pets.
Oh, that's Pee Wee Herman with a
Yeah.
gray afro.
That is so awesome.
With the green afro.
Oh,
The
interesting.
Chia Pet.
John,
Why does he
have
have a
you?
green afro?
It's a plant. Have you never had a chia pet,
You
John?
never
No.
really? Okay, well, you literally plant it and it grows.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with seeds, and you put it around. You put it around the hair like that, and then in about a few weeks, it grows into like a bush. So that's what
Got
they
it.
do. That's what a chia
Yeah, for
pet
a
is.
moment there, I thought that was the face of Robert Kraft. I was like, what the hell? Is that the Patriots owner that got caught at that Asian spot? Like, what the hell? Anyway.
Not quite. It's like
Is
probably.
it Cosby Herman? What the heck? Yeah, no, anyway. Everything okay, AJ?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that. Oh, okay. That's my neighbor's dog. I just heard something like run and somebody scream, and I think he was calling his dog.
Good.
Oh my God. Okay. He wasn't being attacked by the dog?
That's what it sounded like. What?
Ask him if you can watch him have his dog eat food first.
Yeah, and film him.
This was a great, very extended, very interesting conversation. Thank you guys for being so patient and so fun throughout this. Watch the docuseries. I mean, we probably have spoiled it for you, for those of you listening and watching, but who cares? Still watch it. It's awesome.
You need to watch it. Don't listen to us. Stop in the middle and watch it, and then listen to us again.
There you
go.
As himself. It's still streaming on HBO Max. And if you want to have more of this wonderful podcast content, find The Delicious Culture wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, SiriusXM, wherever you get your wonderful audio podcasts. Full video episodes are on YouTube. For whatever reason, Spotify, as of this recording, it's impossible to upload anything on there that isn't audio episodes. So we don't know if we're going to have video episodes on Spotify, but you can still get the episodes video-wise on YouTube. TheDeliciousCulture@gmail.com is where you can email us. At The Delicious Culture on Instagram, Threads, Reddit, YouTube. Follow us there. TikTok at Delicious Culture. You can follow my TikTok account if you'd like. Here's a difficult username to remember. I'm at Jon.Francois, the number one. So
it's simple.
You're right. JON.FRANCOIS, the number one. That's where you can find me on TikTok. Manny, please promote your stuff. How can we follow you and your content?
All right. You can follow me on Instagram at JOramas25, or you can follow some of my other work with the collaborations of the wonderful Splat Attack crew: Alex, Kat, Jordy, Megan, Kylie, Heather, and I believe that's it.
I know there's so many people. It would be so easy to
we all do fantastic work, and please check us out on at Splat Attack on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube as well, or at Splat Attack Podcast.
And was it, what was it called? Baby Biters, the podcast that you do with
Baby Biters. No, it's bedtime banter.
Bedtime banter.
Check it out on Spotify. Baby Biters is a great name, though.
No, we don't want to encourage the biting of babies. They're
no.
delicate little creatures that come into the world innocently.
You can check out some crazy before you go to sleep conversations on Spotify at Bedtime Banter. That is Heather and my podcast that we talk about crazy questions before we go to sleep. Check out for more episodes possibly coming in the next year.
AJ.
Follow me on TikTok and YouTube, AJ Vandertunt. I'm the only one that exists. And if you go to my page and you don't hit subscribe or follow, I will behead a peep.
As you should, because those candies are fucking nasty. I don't like them. I don't like them. They're weird marshmallow colored ducks. I don't like them.
I love peeps.
I always have this negative image of like, I didn't have anything else to eat at this radio station job that I worked at, and I had no choice but to eat some peeps that were in like a cabinet somewhere, and just like my stomach not digesting those peeps well. It's ugh.
I get it.
Yeah.
If you want a treat, make a cup of hot cocoa and just let a peep float around on top of it. And as it melts, it gets even more delicious.
Oh, I gotta try that then.
Yes.
It's like a massive marshmallow. That's cool.
It really is. And if you like just watching things dissolve, it's pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, I do.
I live for a melting duck in my hot cup of Joe. Or hot cup of chocolate.
Well, a hot cup of Joe sounds great too.
Yeah, that too. All right. AJ, you want to send us out with some ringing deliciousness?
You know what? Yeah, I actually thought of something really good. I'm going to let us go with little delicious ringing by saying, everybody, support your local gay bathhouse and go stand outside and manipulate your junk.
You mean manipulate the genitalia?
Yes. Junk is so crude and obscene. I want to give you an obscenity charge, AJ, just for saying that. Genitalia. Use the medical term, please.